Welcome back to the IMSH press box here in San Diego. We are joined with Matt Merino of EMS. He's the CEO of EMS and also the presidential sponsor of this entire event. So Matt, why don't you take a minute and introduce yourself as well as your company.
Excellent. So Matt Merino, once again with EMS, the CEO. We are the presidential sponsor. We live in the world of simulation, software, competency management, mobile technologies, all trying to advance what's going on in the healthcare space and find ways to increase distribution, capabilities, just because we feel it's so important and so critical to what our long-term goals are. And I talked about it a little bit yesterday with our at the introduction of the plenary, a better world of care, and that's where that focus is for us.
Yeah, so this is the second year you guys have been the presidential
Correct.
Sponsorship. We now know that you've signed up again to do it again next year.
Absolutely.
Why is this show and this organization so important to you?
Well, I think this organization, as you can see, the continued growth, which I think we should all be really excited about. The other thing about it is that the impact that simulation can have, I think we're just scratching the surface right now. There's so much further we can go with it, and I consider it critical to the world we live in, where the importance of care increases every year. We have stressors on the system, whether it's from a human capital standpoint, whether it's an educational standpoint. Simulation is a way to fill some of those gaps. So for us, it's crucial that we try to lead from the front on this, knowing that we won't solve it on our own, but all these people in the room together, I think we can solve some of those really big problems out there.
I think some of that flexibility too is seen in the booth that you brought this year compared to the booth you brought last year. It's night and day. It's completely different that you're in. It's new products, new highlights, same company, but last year you had a very almost military approach to some of the stuff that you brought out. You had some things out there. This year you guys have gone a little bit different. Talk to us about some of your new products, what it is that you guys are promoting while you're here this week.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that we wanted to show this week is our next generation training in motion. And what it is we have worked very hard over the past year from listening to all our partners, talking about how simulation's moving out of that traditional environment in a lot of cases. So how can we provide to them a solution that allows for simulation to occur anywhere, anytime, reasonable cost, a way to distribute it so that it's all connected. So if I have a limitation on people who can instruct, they can instruct multiple people all over the world. So our new mobiles, once they are opened up and ready to go with, anyone, including myself who is not a technologist, within 5 minutes can set it up and start running actual simulations. So we're incredibly excited about that because it addresses so many of the issues that we see as critical to some of the highlights and challenges I talked about earlier.
So you're just talking about that this is like a mobile kit that they can mobily deploy and bring it anywhere. Is that I understand it?
Absolutely anywhere that you want to go with it. Everything's already preloaded, so the software solution, your tablet's formatted. You have the ability to plug it in if you have a task trainer so that you can get vitals off of it. It comes with your cameras that can be set up in a matter of minutes. They can go on tripods, they can go on walls, they can lay by themselves on the ground. So that's exactly what we're after.
So as I understand, it's basically you can put it anywhere and you're trying to make it so usable that it's effortless to use it.
That's exactly what we're after. We want to make sure that you don't have to be a simulationist in order to actually conduct simulation.
Well, especially when even, all the simulationists, we're getting asked more and more, there's less of us, it's harder to bring people to the industry, so we got to do so much. So the stuff's just got to work.
It has to work, and I think the approach that we look at it as, other areas, especially in the consumer products and electronics area, so much work has been done to try to, on usability. It's a huge focus for us right now, because oftentimes as we increase our technology, over time, it's tended to get more complex for people to use. We're trying to do the exact opposite thing. So we are trying to make it easier to use while still increasing the capabilities, which makes it a little more challenging, but we think the reward on the back end, much higher.
We've seen that same arc. You mentioned consumer electronics. I mean, we've all seen how TV remotes went from being super simple when you bought a new TV to extremely complex. You need a doctor to figure it out, and now we're back down to 4 or 5 buttons, right?
Correct.
So making it very easy, you can hand it to anyone and use it. Would you agree that's kind of what the same?
I think that's exactly what we're trying to do, and in fact, when we were going through the testing for the interface, I can tell this story now. I gave it to my 9-year-old
Nice.
And I said, all right, I want you to open this up and see if you can get it through and get it started. She was able to. So for us, I was like, we've succeeded in what we were out to accomplish, because it's literally walks you right through every step, and in 5 minutes you're ready to go. And that's what I was after.
That's a huge win.
My 9-year-old's my test subject for just about everything too. So he's done more needle decompressions in VR than most of my employees.
We should be fair though, that they're way more advanced than we were at 9-year-old in technology.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yep.
So, but for us, I think that it comes to a recognition that sometimes lacks. That I'd love to make a world where there were as many simulation experts as possible for everyone. That's not the case, though.
No.
And in fact, I think that resource is one that oftentimes gets overlooked when people think about the solution.
Yeah. The people to run it.
We're trying to build those
Educated
solutions around the people that have to use it, as opposed to just throwing really cool technology looking for a problem out there, is the best way to say it.
Well, what else, Matt? I mean, you're here all week with the rest of us. What's going on this week that you're excited about, or what do you want everybody to know about that either you're involved in or that you've seen here on the floor or with other vendors?
Well, I think for all of us right now, the technology is moving incredibly rapidly. When we think about things like VR, AR, we think about things like AI. There's a lot of decisions that are going to get made in the next 12, 24 months about how we're going to apply it. So I'm really excited to talk with other people to hear their ideas around it. For us, the other thing that we're incredibly focused on this week, and as an organization, we have been for a while, but we've spent a lot of time since I joined the organization, is on competency management, which we've now fully integrated into our platform, and making sure that we're not just teaching to a test, but we're actually being able to marry that with measuring someone's competency and ability once they join the workforce. You know, that gap between education and effectiveness in the workforce is probably bigger than what it should be. We're really focused on how can we not only link those groups together, but how can we provide actual technology to improve that transition and make it so that those clinicians are ready faster and better when they step into the workplace.
So how does that competency, how does that look? So to you, what are some of the things that people should be excited about?
Well, I think a couple things, first of all. So when we look at our competency solution, once again, we've gone back to thinking, how can we make this more user-friendly? So we've spent a lot of time, it's a heavy lift, right? If you want to, anyone who's been in academia, or even in the workplace where you're going to do a lot with curriculum and things like that, that's a heavy lift getting that loaded. So we've tried to make that as efficient as possible going forward, and as easy to do as possible. We've also added, on our end, we now have professional services where if you need assistance, we've got experts to help do that for you. You know, a past life which you're aware of that I came from, that was one of the conversations we were in all the time. Is
exactly.
That the university resource, or the institutional resource, even in the workplace, there's an assumptive that they have people just sitting around with extra time on their hands to do this, and it doesn't exist. So we've got to be able to provide those services as well.
You know, everybody says, oh, we got to track data. And that's all it ends up being is words. It's we got to do it. Well, nobody's got a plan of how to do it because it's really, really hard. And it's a lot of work. So if you're making that easier, it makes it so much more attractive, and it helps us all.
You know, I hear a lot of people talk about data all the time, and my thought is, okay, you can be data rich and information poor at the same time. So we want to make sure not only we're collecting it, but we're providing guidance and tools to make that usable along the way.
That's how it is. We can collect it all day. If you can't do anything with it, it does you no good. It's extra work that somebody did and for no reason.
Exactly correct. So everything we're doing is all around those things right now, and you'll just keep hearing it from us. The other thing, and we talked about it last year, and now I don't speak about it much because for us it's just accepted. It's that interoperability. So our system, our platform, it's open architecture, because I don't want to go out to any institution, whether it be a university, whether it be a government association, whether it be an employer, and say, here's what we have, and this is how you have to use it, because everyone's needs are a little bit different.
Yes.
If you want to bring in this piece of technology or this simulator, that's what we're there for, to integrate those, so you can build your own solution. It's configurable to what meets your needs, and we think that's really important going forward, because, I mean, you look around us right here, there's some really amazing, amazing offerings out here.
Yeah.
I think that's important too, knowing that no one sim center is going to have a single product line throughout the entire building, right? And so understanding that we do go to multiple vendors, we do bring in equipment from different places, and I have specific learning objectives that I'm going to use one brand and others I'm going to use a different one. And so being able to build a solution that wraps all of that up in and doesn't expect you to have one product throughout the whole process.
Absolutely.
So if there was one thing you wanted from the industry, and I'm talking about the user base, the everything, what is that? What would that look like? If there was to be something you wish you could get from them, what would that be?
Boy, that's a really deep question.
Yeah.
I would say right now what I believe would benefit this industry the most is sometimes this industry is thought of being on an island, right, in simulation. I don't really view it that way. I think about all the other organizations that are adjacent to us in healthcare, bridging those conversations and bringing them into the discussion, because the world needs to be in a place where simulation isn't an event or a little carve out that exists in some places. It's part of a much bigger ecosystem, and I think we need to find ways to bring that ecosystem together in these conversations and get to a place where there is at least an agreement of how we're going to maximize and utilize simulation going forward in the healthcare space.
So kind of bringing it across all the disciplines and all the different departments. And
I think there's that, and I think there's even other associations out there that are, and I can tell you that I'm involved with a lot of them.
Yeah.
And we have the same conversations about the same challenges,
Yep.
sometimes just using a little bit different terminology.
Exactly.
Everyone at the table together, I think we could make some really big strides.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, Matt. And thank you very much for coming out with us. Again, we're here in the press box for the Society for Simulation at IMSH 2024. Again, thank you for your sponsorship. We look forward to having you back again next year.
I appreciate it so much. Always good speaking with you.